Well, hey there, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me here on Teach My Class, where we're going to be talking about key literary terms today. I'm Mrs. Estero, and I have an online teaching store called All-in-One Middle School. I was a teacher for 34 years, and language arts was my passion. I teach in mini lessons, which means that they're short and to the point, and you'll know exactly what is expected of you at the end. This presentation comes with guided notes if you are interested, and that's available in my TPT store. If you are going to use the guided notes, you'll notice an icon of a pencil and paper, and that will tell you when it's time to use your guided notes. If your teacher lets you work with a partner, you can turn and talk in certain portions. I hope you find this helpful, so let's dive on in. So, mentor text. It's always good to have a mentor text when you're learning skills. It doesn't have to be in writing, however. Using short films is fun and helps us with the skills being taught. For the lessons on literary terms, I'm going to use an Oscar nominated short film called Hair Love. Your teacher may prefer for you to use a different mentor text or film. If so, when you take notes, just substitute that in. Pause my video now and click on Hair Love. It's about 6 minutes long, and you can find the link in the video comments. So, why do we need to know literary terms? There's no doubt that you have been reading books for school and enjoyment. Hopefully, this has been mostly enjoyable, and hopefully, you've had some opportunities to discuss your books. As you're discussing, you naturally use terms such as character and problem. Other terms are more academically suitable when discussing literature in class. So, literary terms, we want to really get on board here. Today's goal is to understand that there are certain academic terms to use when you are reading and writing. These are called literary terms, and knowing them will serve you well throughout your academic career. Today, we are going to go over some important terms that you will need to know. Some of this might be a review for you. So, why do we need to know literary terms? There's no doubt that you have been reading books for school and hopefully for enjoyment. And hopefully, this has been mostly enjoyable. And hopefully, you've had some opportunities to discuss your books. As you're talking about them, you're using terms such as character and problem. Other terms are more academically suitable when discussing literature in class. So let's talk about plotline. And you'll notice here that we have our guided notes icon. So you want to kind of key into that right now. The plotline is the sequence of events in the story. It is comprised of the exposition, where you introduce characters, setting, and problem. Rising action is where the tension rises. Character tries and fails to solve the problem. Climax, or the turning point, is the intense point in the book. Everything will be different from this point on for the main character. This one can be a little tricky, the climax and turning point. It is definitely a point of very tense and high impact action. However, what you really have to make sure is that you are at the point. Everything is now going to be different for the character where their problem begins to be solved. Okay? Falling action. Events after the climax that wrap up the loose ends of the story, and resolution. There is some closure or resolution for the characters. Feel free to pause the video at any time if you need to fill in your notes. Here's a basic plot line. We have our exposition. Rising action really takes up most of the book. The climax is that turning point, and we lead into falling action and resolution, which are actually really much smaller parts of the book. So now you want to try it. You're going to turn and talk and think about the mentor text, whether it was Hair Love or a mentor text or film that your teacher gave you. You're going to talk about the parts of the plot line. If you have guided notes, you'll fill them in together. So you're going to pause and turn and talk. and I'll see you back here in a moment. Okay, let's talk about character terms. Character is a person, animal, or thing in a story. Character traits are those qualities that make a person an individual. Author may develop a character's traits by describing how the character looks, speaks, and thinks. The main or major character, the character who plays the most important role in the story, and the story focuses on the main or major character, and you can use either one of those terms. The minor character is the character who plays a less important role in the story, and readers usually know less about this character. Heads up here, though, minor characters are there for a reason. They really help to move the plot along, and a lot of times our theme is really seen through the eyes of the minor character. The protagonist is the main character in a story, often a good or heroic type. And the antagonist is the person or force that works against the main character in the story and is sometimes a villain. Now you're going to try it. You're going to continue with your mentor text, turn and talk to your partner about the character terms below. If you have guided notes, fill them in together. So you're going to be talking about these things right here. Okay, let's talk about terms that really set the stage: setting, point of view, and perspective. Setting is where and when story takes place. Stories can have multiple settings. Point of view is the vantage point from which the story is told. This is not the author. We're going to talk about first person and third person. There is second person, but that's more of when you have a narrator speaking directly to the audience. We're going to focus on first and third. First is one of the characters using the personal pronoun I who tells a story. Third person is the narrator, tells everything that is going on in the story and speaks in third person. He, she, they, it, and names of characters, except they don't do that in the dialogue. Perspective is a narrator's attitudes or beliefs about an event, person, or place based on their experiences. So you can have a perspective on anything based on something that you've experienced. So now you're going to try it. You're going to continue with your mentor text, whether it's hair love or something different. Turn and talk to your partner about setting and point of view. If you have the guided notes, fill them in together. And that's a wrap, guys. Be sure to tune back in because I have part 2 of literary terms where we will get into the rest of our important key terms. I hope to see you soon. Bye, everybody.